Tech and Tech, a weekly program that comes to you via KBC Channel 1, and it's a program that breaks down technological concepts and debates in a way that is understandable, using a panel of experts who break down the issues for us to be able to engage and to even understand better. This week, we are going to be speaking about safe spaces online. And this topic coincides with a campaign that's going all over the world on 16 days of campaign against gender violence. And it's a day that has different themes and comes just once a year. Now, I would like to introduce my panelists. We have Marceline Nyambala. Marceline is the Executive Director of the Association of Media Women in Kenya, AMWIK. Karibu, Marceline.
Asante sana, Grace Githaiga. I'm happy to be here. How are you all?
Okay, karibu sana, Marceline.
Asante sana, thank you.
All right. We also have Miriam Obara from Siasa Place. Karibu, Miriam. And we also have Elizabeth Orembo from Kiktanet.
It's Gigi.
All right. Now, Marceline, please take us straight to this conversation and tell us more about the campaign that's taking place all over the world on this gender violence and how it links to our conversation today.
16 days campaign against gender-based violence has been observed for many years. These are days set aside from 25th of November to 10th of December. These are days just set aside so that awareness is raised globally against gender-based violence, because it was observed that many societies around the whole world, there is a lot of violence against women, whether it is domestic violence, that the women are being beaten at home, whether it is violence, issues such as rape, defilement, female genital mutilation, attacks even in public transport, attacks, sexual harassment in office spaces, in workplaces. And there is also institutional violence against women or community, that a community is discriminative. Violence has been institutionalized against women. So these are the days, but of course also there is violence against men. And you find, like in our country, where you find like more than 40% of the women at a certain age have gone through some forms of violence. And that is why organizations such as ours have been observing this campaign. Now, some of this violence has been transferred to a new space. Remember, we have violence against even women politicians, electoral violence, violence against voters. People are beaten during nominations, people are beaten during campaigns, and women are more vulnerable. And so you find that some abusive words, violent words, some of this violence against women has now been transferred to the space that we now have, because you find that now, especially around now, during COVID-19, we found ourselves having to occupy the online space more. But even before COVID-19, we found ourselves that as journalists, like organizations such as ours, plus all the partners that are here today, Siasa Place, Kiktanet, we all work a lot online. Today we have e-government. You process everything online. So you find that now violence is transferred there, especially the women who are sometimes being very vocal. expressing themselves online. You find they're abused. People come, you find even politicians, somebody creates an account claiming that they're the ones. People attack you, they abuse you, they shame you, they say, oh, look, she has added weight, she's not looking nice. They look at you as a politician, you have children. So a lot of this violence has now been transferred online. And so that is why even this year, there is an emphasis around the work that is going on around the 16 days, that it has been acknowledged that we now need to look at online violence as an issue that is really affecting women. Because you find certain categories of women, once they've been attacked online, then they will say that I will no longer occupy this online space. I want to get out. But online space is part of our reality now. It is now part of our culture, that sometimes there are places you want to go, there are documents you need that you must apply online. So that even if you don't have the online skills, you will see that somebody will tell you, okay, if you don't have the phone, you don't have the computer, then try and go to a cyber cafe. So that it is like the old days. I remember in the old days, when we went to the village, you found that your grandmother who could not read, you wrote her a letter, or she received a letter, then she maybe walked to another home where somebody could read for her the letter. Today, you find that if you can no longer now use, you're not very tech savvy, you somehow have to locate, because your child in the US wants to talk to you on Zoom, the Zoom space, like the space that we are holding this meeting on. And so he'll say, okay, can you go to the neighbor's house who has this type of a phone where we can converse, even if you don't have. So including, that those aspects are the ones that now, because it's in wide use, people now have also turned it as a space where people are attacked and abused. So that's the background, please.
Thank you so much, Marceline. I like one thing that you have said, that online spaces are now part of our culture. And if they're part of our culture, I agree that there needs to be some, I guess, rules of engagement that will allow people to stay safe. Now, I do know that the partners on the program today have been involved in some work of some sort. And Elizabeth Orembo, can you tell us more about the work?
Now, we came together as 3 organizations in Kenya as part of a DW campaign and a program to encourage more women to use the internet and to reap the benefits of the internet. But it's also not just in Kenya where this program is in. We also have organizations from other East African countries, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Uganda. And all those partner organizations have different programs that encourage the same women participation in online conversations and women participation even in content production online. And that means that for them to participate or to get empowered just the way any other part of the population is getting empowered, it means that they also have to feel safe online. So jumping to the activities that KickTarget is doing specifically, we are doing a series of digital security trainings. That was from 2017. We've trained special groups like women journalists, we've trained women digital rights activists, but from there we took a focus on students, training women students, because we saw that they need to create more content online. The reason why we have so much male-dominated conversation is because women don't participate. and we need to train them on what activities, what profiles they need to create, what they can talk about, basically content generation. And so in our trainings, we've put much focus on the platforms where people hold conversations, and where people also market their skills and what they do, such as LinkedIn, and even creating their own websites and just producing content, expert content on whatever field they are in. So if one is, let's say, an architect, they can make a gallery on whatever designs they've made. They can give expert advice on how to design or what to look into when you're going to buy a house and things like that. And everyone can actually create content online. Yeah, so apart from digital security training and content creation, we've also been producing policy briefs so that we advocate for some policies that would make online conversations or online spaces more accommodating to women and girls. So we've done 2 policy briefs, one touching on how women politicians interact with their constituents online, and what kind of environment they work in. Do they get the same treatment as their counterparts, male politicians, or do they get a different interaction, and is that fair? So, for example, we saw that women mostly, when they engage with their constituents, the conversations sometimes boil down to beauty and all that stuff. Sometimes women are, when they make mistakes in politics, maybe they take an unpopular positions. That stand that they took will be remembered generations to come, and that's usually not the same treatment that men politicians are given. For example, is Martha Karua. We still remember her for the strong stand that she took in 2007. Yet Martha had colleagues in 2007 who are still active in politics till now, and we tend to remember Martha Karua more than the male politicians that she worked with. Yeah. So the other one that the other policy brief that we also worked on was women interaction online in terms during the times of COVID-19, and we noticed that cyberbullying was on the rise during the pandemic, and we attributed that to the lockdown policies. People were online, they didn't have much to do. People were in their houses, they didn't have much to do, so they resorted to online platforms for entertainment, and also to do some of the activities that they couldn't do when physical activities. Yeah, so we found most people online, demand for internet went up, people's activities also went up, and also issues like cyberbullying, mental health were also, unfortunately, part of the things that we noted were on the rise. So we documented some of the cases of women violence online as part of the policy brief. And also we came up with policy recommendations on the same. Yeah, over to you, Gigi.
Okay, thanks, Liz. That point about more people going online during COVID, and that the fact that cyberbullying increased, I think is an important point, and links to what Marceline raised about the fact that we now can't do away with being online. It's become our culture, it's become part of us. But looking at those 2 points then, and the issue of cyberbullying, and women being bullied much more than men, I come to you, Miriam, to tell us again that work that has been done, or you people have been preparing regionally, and the program that Liz talked about, Women and the Web. Why women and the web? and what sort of campaign has this been? And then we'll come back to you people telling us what you have found out about safety online or safe online spaces.
Thank you, Gigi. I really appreciate this opportunity. As Liz mentioned, we are part of the Women at Web program, which is in partnership with DW Academy. And it's been a 3-year initiative running from 2018 to 2020. Us as Siasa Place, we have our keen focus is on youth, and mainly also in this project, young women. And we like to engage youth on matters of governance and electoral processes. And basically engage youth on why politics is important to them. And so you find right now we're engaging a lot online, and COVID has changed the way we interact. It has changed, our accessibility, how many people are able to access this space. And so in this initiative, from the responses and the training we did as a region, 200 women were trained, and in 2018. And from that training, it informed the decision on the next trainings that we did in terms of digital safety. And from the findings we found that 6 out of 8 women experienced harassment, and also a majority, 94%, felt that they were particularly vulnerable online. So that was a really big number. And women experience different dynamics when it comes to interacting with the online space. You find, as Liz had mentioned, Martha Karua was trolled. And so it affects their participation. And so as a region, we felt that it's very important to highlight the online violence against women and advocate against it, because it affects their participation. So as a region, we all came together and we came up with messages for the campaign, just saying how, regardless of your gender, regardless of your age, you deserve to be free to express yourself online. You deserve to have an affordable space to be able to articulate your issues, and free from online harassment, basically. But as a region, that has been a very powerful campaign. If anyone wants to check on what has been happening, just go online on the hashtag SafeSpacesEA. Yes.
Okay, thanks so much, Miriam. I go back to the point you've raised about why you thought the campaign would be important. Marceline, can you take it from there and state for us, the objectives, as well as whether you achieved them? Basically tell us more about this. Just take it from where Miriam has left, and about this campaign.
Basically, the objective of the campaign was just to heighten and put greater emphasis and awareness in the region on just what online safety is or what it is not. So bring ourselves together and bring messages and our understanding, so that as many people online as possible get educated on just how online insecurity looks like. So we did branding. This was led by Siasa Place, of just developing these messages in creative ways that people could read easily and read and find out different thoughts based on our experience, what we have experienced over the years doing this work. For example, for us who work with the media, we have found that many women journalists want to leave the career just on account of the amount of online attacks they receive. So bringing this reality and informing different people. So we were informing, engaging with anybody, whether they are university students that Liz Orembo from Kiktanet has mentioned, women in politics, women journalists, which is the constituency that for us as Association of Media Women we work with, and just anybody, policymakers, so that they become aware that these are the forms of attacks, but also bring in the information of how can you protect yourself, what is safe space. So want to say that, and we were partnering with our colleagues from Uganda, Rwanda, Tanzania. So it was a regional campaign which we conducted, and even this is also part of it, that we're continuing to have that conversation, also talking on the media, and just making it, bringing the conversation home. And so based on the feedback that we got online, we want to say that we had a successful campaign, that people were able to engage, and we draw a lot of lessons from what people were able to say, the feedback they were able to give, and we feel that the campaign was successful, that the conversation elicited interest. And again, as much as we have campaigns such as this, and the bigger campaign that we're now having against gender-based violence, we normally say every day is a day when women need to be protected. Every day is a day when we need to continue advocating. So the advocacy continues. Thank you.
Great point there, that advocacy on online, safe online spaces must continue. Now,
Yes.
Take on Tech takes a short break, and when we return, we want to understand what are these safe online spaces, because I engage on email, I engage on social media, I engage in an online meeting like now. Really, what is considered a safe space? When we return, we'll get into that. Take on Tech. Before we took a break, we wanted to understand what are these safe online spaces, because online spaces is a large field, is a large highway. So Liz, can you please tell us what is considered a safe space online, or what are considered safe spaces online?
Thanks again, Gigi. A safe space is an environment where people can feel confident that they will not be exposed to harassment, discrimination, breach of privacy, and any other emotional and physical harms. That means that it's a space where people feel welcome. They are respected for the views that they air. Even if we don't have the same view, I still protect your right to air those views. So the internet is like a public square. And in this public square, we have people with very different opinions, extreme opinions. It doesn't mean that we have to treat them harshly because of the strong stance that they take on the internet. But we also accommodate their views and also respect that is what they feel about a particular issue. So a safe space is that space that allows for diversity. People feel welcomed and people are encouraged to create content or to express their opinions on different issues. Part of this campaign was not a usual campaign where we identify an antagonist and a victim. We recognize that everyone actually has a responsibility to make others feel like they are welcome online, and let them feel that despite of their backgrounds, despite their gender or religious affiliations, they are still welcomed to the online space, and they can actually voice out their opinions of whatever stuff they feel like voicing out. Yeah, so that is what safe space is all about, and that everyone is actually responsible for creating safe online spaces, including even women themselves, and even children and men. Yeah.
A safe online space is one that allows diversity, that welcomes everyone, regardless of their views and opinions, and allows people to express opinion. I like what is pointed out, that it is the responsibility of everybody to keep this space, online space, safe. Now, Miriam, just listening to what Liz has said, then what would you say contributes to unsafe online spaces?
What contributes to unsafe online spaces could be literally us, you know. We generally contribute to that, contributing to that toxic environment. So as Liz was saying, it really is our responsibility. Like the same way I would meet with my neighbor and I would sit with them and, you know, mutually treat them with respect, you know, regardless of their opinion. It's the same way when I interact online. It's the same personality I should transfer there. But you find more often than not that is not the same person you'll meet. So you'll find this person on the outside is maybe in an office, they're working well, but then online maybe they have a different pseudo account and they're interacting as a different person, trolling another woman or trolling another man, and it really is us who create the space. Is there, the platform is there, but it's us how we use it that really matters. And definitely it's our responsibility and our prerogative to contribute to creating that safe space.
Thanks so much, Miriam. That point that you have raised, that the offline self should then translate into the online self, I think is a very important point, because we have seen people, not just in this country, but in the world, when they are talking behind a screen, they are completely different people. They can be, they can be something so nasty, but when you meet them online, you actually cannot reconcile that the two personalities exhibited offline and online belong to the same person. So I like what you raised, this thing of raising pseudo accounts. I think we have seen it, especially more on women who have a name in the public, who have responsibility in public, where then content is churned out of these pseudo accounts that really does not reflect them. And that leads me to the next question. Marceline,
Yes.
How can we achieve safe online spaces?
Yes, thank you, Grace. Yes, you've mentioned that issue about the pseudo accounts, which would affect the many women who occupy public spaces. And basically people want to pretend, either they want to use their name as if they're voicing an opinion, or they want to even use it maybe to solicit for resources, money. How do we become safe? It is purely by awareness. We need to have the knowledge to gain awareness on how to keep ourselves safe. But we need awareness so that more people become conscious and take the responsibility to create the space safe. So basically, it is what we usually call it is digital literacy. It is like literacy that we have, but now we create awareness, that people become aware that illiterate, online literate, and then they begin to acquire the online etiquette, which my colleagues have talked about, that the way you talk with respect to others on every day, on an everyday basis. It's the way you ought to be respectful to people, even online. So you, like Miriam has said, find somebody on a daily basis, and even Liz, on a daily basis, they are very polite, and then online, they are abusing people. They are, and I've had people say that I was attacked online, and when I went to check the sources of the people who were attacking me, we found that there were different computers accounts coming from the same computer of people they know. You know, so somebody they knew was attacking them with different accounts. So you find it is a person who smiles at you every day, but hiding behind technology, they can actually attack you. So online has its own dynamics, but basically it's just education and awareness and learning and knowing how to keep yourself safe and how to keep others safe and how to make the whole space safe for everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Marceline. I think I want Liz to take it up from there on how to keep safe on these spaces. And Liz, Marceline has just talked about the need to be responsible, but how do people keep safe? What are some of these strategies, especially women, need to employ online so that they also secure their digital safety, as you had raised when you were beginning this program, that they have the skills to protect themselves? Because, like Marceline said, many women disable their accounts or they just leave the social spaces, and yet that is not, it's not a very good way of dealing with issues, considering these online platforms are now part of our culture. Take it from there, Liz.
It's good we've raised the issue of pseudo accounts. Pseudo accounts have been used to troll on other people, but at the same time, they've also been used by people who don't feel like their conversations are welcomed to online spaces. So sometimes they also hide themselves so that they voice out their opinions. So most of the internet tools are double-edged. They empower the victims as well as the people who actually drive these trolls against the minorities. Yeah. So what are some of the ways that women and vulnerable groups can use to navigate online spaces? Some of them are just merely creating more content, defining your space. Most women in Kenya now have developed a thick skin because of the trolling that have been happening years and years. And we find that most vocal women on Twitter or on Facebook usually have seasonal trolls. And even when you look at how they respond to their trolls, it makes you see that they're not new to this, and now they've learned the game, and now they're just flowing with it. Sometimes even some of them become trolls of other online victims. Some of them even women themselves. That's why we say that safe online spaces are a responsibility to everyone, because sometimes we also make innocuous comments that don't rub well to other parties, and they feel threatened, or they feel they need to move out of such spaces. So one way of us really working on this influence of online trolls, or even shaping the conversations around women empowerment in online spaces, is to actually empower them to create more content and define a voice for themselves. I usually tell women in the trainings that how people see you online is how you allow them to see you online. There's that part of digital identity where you create your own traces, where if someone Googles you, they see what you've been doing, what you're an expert on, and how to engage you in 1, 2, or 3 things. So it gives you a chance for you to define who you are and what you want to do. That's one of the plus that I usually see about the internet empowering women. Another one is just on digital security tools. Use digital security tools that actually don't trace your activities. If you feel like you need to hide them, use proper or secure communication channels. There are channels that will allow for things like screenshotting. Some like Signal will notify you when someone screenshots your conversation. And we've seen this habit of people breaching other people's privacy. Let's say you are in a relationship with someone, or you are doing some certain business activities together, and you shared maybe intimate or not even intimate, but some messages that can be classified as private. And when you're not in good terms with this other person, they'll just go and retrieve your messages, screenshot them, and put them online. It hasn't rubbed. It has been a very negative effect for women, especially online. Most of the bullying that we've had on Twitter are some of the pictures that women shared with their boyfriends like 10 years ago. Imagine someone reminding you 10 years after, this is what you used to post. I'm sure most of us, we've gone to Facebook and we've deleted some of the comments and the pictures that you posted 10 years ago because they don't reflect who we are now, or we don't see them putting out a good image of what we want to become now. Yeah, so those are some of the things that women need to consider when posting online. When you're posting something online, try to judge by yourself, is this something that I still want to post 10 years later? Because the internet never forgets. Some of those pictures that were retrieved are some which people deleted, but somehow they just surfaced on the internet, and that is what trolls or DCI Twitter usually use to troll someone. So yeah, I'd just say create content, be of sober judgment when you're posting something online, and also use safe tools to communicate. And that also, you should also evaluate yourself, because some tools are for activism, some tools are for general conversations. We in our training, we usually don't tell people all the tools that are there for people to use for safe communications, because sometimes you end up using communication tools that are not comfortable for other parties, or they will just pose very many difficulties for you to use internet tools for communication. Yeah.
Actually, women have been the victims of what you have raised, sharing of their intimate pictures. But you know, it's sad, and I think we also need to create awareness, because how is it that women never ask men for their nude pictures, which they can also keep and share when this relationship is over? So I think women, like you have said, rightly said, they need to be judicious about what it is that they are sharing. And the three of you, having been working on this campaign and still going on, I would like to ask you to tell me, if you were to create your own internet today, how would that look like? And we will start with you, Miriam, then come to Marceline, then end with Liz. Yes, Miriam, how would your internet look like today? Having discussed spaces and, having had the pros and the cons. So if you were to create your own internet today, how would it look like?
If I was to create my ideal internet space, one, I would want that space to be free. free to be accessed by anyone from all walks of life, from the mama mboga, from, you know, all the way from down to the top. Everyone should be able to access the space, and that space should be free, free from discrimination, free from you being able to express yourself freely in an ungoverned and an unbiased way. Basically, being respectful of others, the same way you are physically is the same way we should be online, but that space should be accessible and inclusive for everyone.
Thanks, Miriam. Marceline, how would your internet look like?
For me, my internet, I would want it to be fast. I would want it to have an alarm that if it detects, it quickly detects when there is something, an attack, when somebody is not being, it detects danger. When a word emerges that is abusive, then it must detect and stop that communication. I would also want it to be free, accessible to everybody, easy to use, friendly to all categories of people, and very bright, very, very bright. So that is the kind of internet. And I would want to see whether we can have those internet police, you know, people who can be able to arrest those who are attacking others. That's my thought. I don't know how feasible some of these things are, but from the top of my mind, maybe there could be some apps that could do some of these things. We want to be safe, very, very safe for everybody. Yeah.
Liz?
I've tried to ask myself these questions very, very many times, and most of the time, I find myself not coming up with the same answers. But this is what I have now. I'd like my internet to be an internet where I don't have to hide behind another identity to voice what I want. And when it comes to voicing opinions, usually we think about how the public will take it and how we are going to be trolled. But also we forget about in spaces, informal spaces that we are in. I find most people who usually own pseudo accounts are usually not for trolls per se, but sometimes you fear how your work colleagues, your religious colleagues, and other groups are going to take your message. If they're going to judge, if they're going to categorize you or label you in one box or another. So such fears is what makes us not to be free on the internet. So I'd like one that where people just respect your opinion for what it is, and so you're just free to post it. And if someone disagrees with your opinion, then they do that respectfully. Most of the time we see, even during US elections, you look at the comments that people make, going down to the comment, you'll find that someone disagrees, but then also adds an insult at the bottom of the comment. Yeah, basically a space where someone disagrees minus the insult, so that you form good debates and good conversations, and you also learn from each other's different stances. And then last one is on the languages. I'd also love to have my internet to have language, especially Swahili, different ethnic languages, even those that I don't understand. And that is, when I see those different languages, I am confident that I can introduce my grandma or my mother to Twitter, and they can actually join in the conversations in whatever languages that they feel comfortable in.
Interesting. I hope that the techies who continue to develop the infrastructure, those who continue to are responsible for the content online, including you people, you will be able to actually make some of those contributions. For example, I like the thing about disagreeing respectively. I think that is very, very important. There's the issue also of local languages, and I think a lot of women are being left behind, either because they cannot communicate in the languages that the internet uses. We want an internet that is non-judgmental, and I guess you'd want to go online and put in a controversial statement, like, for example, you support a political party that people don't expect you to support, and you would want them to disagree respectfully. And I think Marceline also said, she wants to be, she would want an internet that, she can communicate without hiding behind a screen. And we know why people hide behind screens. It's because they do not want to be recognized and to be known. Okay. We are almost coming to the end of the program, so I'll give each one of you an opportunity to give closing remarks. Miriam.
My closing remarks would be that we really need to continue advocating and pushing for more safe spaces that are inclusive for everyone. And we also need to keep, to implement these laws that are in place, that are there to protect people online. And also we need to continue protecting each other, like create a task force, be your brother's keeper, be your sister's keeper online. If you see someone out there trolling for the wrong reason, stand up against it. Sometimes it's easy to join the majority, but no, if it's wrong, it's wrong. Call them out and stand together. I think there's a lot of strength in numbers. And also for women who are quiet on these spaces, continue posting your content, feel free, do not shy away from participating politically, because your voice is very important in these discussions. Thank you.
Marceline?
My parting shots would be that, especially for women and especially our constituency, those who are thinking of leaving the online space because you've been attacked or you've been trolled, just to tell you, do not leave the space. Don't leave the space. The space is for you. And also to just call upon people to join the safety brigade. I think we have seen also things that are happening to children at home. They are being vulnerable, they are being kidnapped on account of online exposure. So calling upon everybody to be advocates for online safety for our families, for our children, for our society. And that's my parting shot. Thank you.
Thank you. Marceline, Liz?
I'd also like to add to what Miriam and Marceline have said, that it's our responsibility to make people feel welcome on online spaces. When you push people outside these spaces, that means you're also pushing them out of channels where they can make money or a living for their family. We are also pushing them out of governance spaces where they can actually voice out to their leaders what they'd like in their constituencies. And those are things that can really improve their lives, and many other things, in such a way that when you push someone out of these online spaces, it's like you're pushing them out of multiple tools or enablers in life, economic, social, political. So let's be mindful of that. And when we are mindful of that, we'll also protect the spaces for our neighbors and our neighbors' children, so that they also reap from the benefits of technology.
Great points there, good ladies. Let's be mindful of everyone online. Let's continue advocating for safe spaces online. Let's be each other's keepers online. For those who have been attacked, especially women, please do not leave this space. You must learn to also advocate for your rights, and leaving is no solution. And so we come to the end of the program today, where we were talking about safe online spaces. And this coincides with the campaign all over the world, the 16 days campaign against gender violence that takes place for 2 weeks. And the speakers today are all participating. So this is a very timely conversation at this time. And until next week, when we meet for another program on Take on Tech, my name is Grace Githaiga. Please remember to wear a mask, sanitize, and maintain social distance. Goodbye.